Less, they went on a rant today about Juju Watkins should be talked about in the same way as Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bomb, claiming Juju Watkins is on Caitlin Clark's level. But hold up, is he for real? Fans are going crazy, saying Smith's lost his mind.
Wow. Okay, where do we even start? I mean, Caitlin Clark's actually already in the WNBA and has already been WNBA all first team. All WNBA first team. Think about that now. As a rookie. And led the league in assists and scored 19 points. And her team, which had the first pick last year, made it to the playoffs. Yeah, even my dog knows it, for crying out loud. But you're going to have the media start this, and it's the same train we got on with Angel Reese.
Stephen A. Smith just sparked a huge debate by saying Juju Watkins is on the same level as Caitlin Clark. The response? Fans are flipping out, with many arguing that Smith's comparison might be...
Here's Clark. Clark pulls up, another deep one. Is good!
Caitlin Clark once again dancing with the basketball, seeing it go through.
At this point, it really feels like Stephen A. isn't even watching the WNBA. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark isn't just winning games, she's making history. Remember that insane third quarter against LSU? That was on a whole other level.
That is why Caitlin Clark got the hype she did. That is why people talked about Caitlin Clark. Because she was winning games she had no right to win. Iowa had no right to win this game.
That was straight up magic, no question. Now, you're probably asking, what about Juju? Well, let's dive into it. This comparison has fans buzzing. What Caitlin Clark did against LSU wasn't just a great game. It was a statement that rocked the basketball world.
Iowa, I thought scoring, yeah, she's the all-time greatest scorer in the history of college basketball, men's or women's, but passing like this, I'm talking about gifted LeBron-esque bounce passing. I'm talking about gifted LeBron-esque two-handed, full court, touchdown pass kind of passing, the likes of which I don't see in the WNBA.
She hit multiple threes from way beyond the arc, including a mind-blowing step back from 30 feet. That's not just shooting, that's confidence on another level. You might be wondering, how does Clark keep doing this? It's more than just her scoring ability. Remember when Iowa wasn't even expected to make the tournament? She completely turned that.
And by the way, this is against an LSU team who are way better than current day UConn. This team had Anissa Morrow, Williams, Flau'jae, and Angel Reese. This team's 100, and Haley Van Lith. This team's 100 times better than this year's UConn.
That's why Caitlin Clark gets all the hype. People can't stop talking about her because she pulls off wins nobody expects. Iowa had no business winning that game, but she made it happen.
Yo, man, we should be talking about her the way we talked about Caitlin Clark last year. Juju, absolutely. Juju's special. I'm telling you that right now. She is the packet.
Clark didn't just lead Iowa to victory. She pulled them across the finish line. She's the reason Iowa wins games they shouldn't even be in. And here's the real kicker. She's not just scoring like crazy, she's also racking up assists and breaking records while doing it.
I mean that Juju Watkins right now might be the third best player in college basketball. I think it's look, UCLA are so good. Lauren Betts is better than Juju Watkins right now.
Exactly. She's a dual threat that keeps defenses on their toes, pass or shoot. You never know what's coming next. Sure, plenty of players can score and pass, but not like this. As her coach said, Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's changing the game. And he's right. Clark shines when the pressure's on, always stepping up in the biggest moments.
And in fairness, I thought Juju did a good job making against UConn. But up to this point in her college career, she's averaged more turnovers than assists.
Next voice. Can you believe the impact Caitlin Clark is having? She's not just changing the game, she's changing the way we view women's basketball. She's setting a whole new standard for what's possible on the court. But here's the twist, let's talk about Juju Watkins. After seeing what Clark has done, it's natural to wonder how Juju compares. Stephen A. Smith thinks Juju deserves the same level of hype as Caitlin Clark. But is he right?
In my opinion, Juju, up until that last game, I don't think she's been good this year. She was bad in her first game against Ole Miss. She'd been awful against ranked opponents this year.
But hold on, What if I told you Juju might not even be the best player in college basketball right now? In fact, she might not even be the top player on her own team.
Is Ryan Howard with a better highlight tape? And I mean that. And that's not a knock. I really like Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard, if not for injury, is an all-star all 3 of her seasons of the WNBA. Ryan Howard probably makes 2028 Olympic team. She is Ryan Howard with a prettier highlight tape.
Now you might be thinking, but Juju is a great scorer. And yes, she can definitely put up points. But here's the question, at what cost? Let me hit you with a surprising stat.
Nearly as good a defender as Hannah Hidalgo is. The best player in college basketball by so much as Hannah Hidalgo.
Juju is actually averaging more turnovers than assists. That's not just a minor issue, it's a red flag. It means she's giving up the ball more than she's helping her teammates score. For someone getting this much attention, that's a serious problem. And those big games people rave about, where Juju is supposed to step up? Well, she's been noticeably absent. One analyst didn't hold back, calling it out straight away.
And the reality situation is
next
Juju's
choice.
not even the best player in college basketball.
Ouch,
and
that's
it
not
shows
the kind
Stephen A.
of
Smith's not
performance you'd
watching,
expect from someone
saying that
being compared
Juju
to Caitlin
Watkins should
Clark.
have the same hype as Caitlin
And here's the
Clark.
real
Did
kicker.
not.
Some experts are starting to question if Juju's game is more about flash than actual substance.
The most exciting player in college basketball is Hannah Hidalgo. The best player in college basketball is Hannah Hidalgo.
What? That's a tough comparison, suggesting that while Juju might look impressive on the court, she's not delivering when it counts. So, what's the bottom line? Juju Watkins isn't just falling short of Caitlin Clark, she's not even in the running for best player in college basketball at this moment.
And when Juju played against Hannah Hidalgo, Juju did nothing. Juju had 8 points or something. Or Juju, was it 10? Going into garbage time down 20. And you're like, oh, you know, Notre Dame lost to TCU and they lost to Utah. And it's like, yeah, so what? When in the games that really mattered, in the games that really mattered, against UConn and against USC, Hannah Hidalgo was 10 times better than Paige Beckers. And Hannah Hidalgo was also much better than Juju Watkins in that game.
Her struggles against top teams, turnover issues, and disappearing acts in big games all add up to one thing. The hype doesn't match the reality. But hold on, there's more to this story. Let's dive into why Stephen A. Smith's take is so off. When you look at the facts, you can't help but ask, has he even been watching the same games we have? Ever heard the phrase, a day late and a dollar short? That pretty much sums up Stephen A. Smith's understanding of women's college basketball.
Watch one game of college basketball last year until Caitlin Clark versus LSU. It's like you didn't watch one game the year before until Caitlin Clark versus LSU.
Stephen A. Smith's latest hot take on Juju Watkins isn't just late, it's way off. Let's break down why his opinion is so far off. It's almost laughable. First of all, has Stephen A. even watched a full game this season? Because if he had, he'd realize there's a player out there making Juju look average, and her name isn't Caitlin Clark.
I don't even think Stephen A. Smith knows who Hannah Hidalgo is. And I mean that. If you asked him who Hannah Hidalgo is, Stephen A. Smith does not watch one game of college basketball until that.
Yep, it's Hannah Hidalgo. Stephen A. totally missed the boat on her. She's been dominating all season. Remember when Hidalgo went head-to-head with Juju? That was the game where Hidalgo really made a statement.
And I'm sorry, like, the ability to score from 3 levels is one of the most overrated things in basketball, because if you don't need, it doesn't matter how you score, it's that you score. At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters, is that you score, that you create points for you.
Juju only managed to score 8 points, and most of those came after the game was already decided. That's not the kind of performance you expect from a so-called superstar. Hidalgo didn't just win, she completely dominated. But did you hear a word from Stephen A. about that? Nope. And it's not just Hidalgo. Smith's take on Juju shows he's missing the bigger picture of women's college basketball. He's hyping Juju up without fully grasping her contributions or how she stacks up against the competition. It's like he's watching
If you want to make the argument that Juju Watkins is as good as senior Caitlin Clark, and I know he's at the mid-range, he doesn't need a 3-ball. You don't need to be a 3-level scorer to be the best scorer. You just need to put the ball in the basket on less shots. Gabby Marshall off that team. Just give her Kiki Iriafen. Give her the supporting cast that Juju has, and Caitlin Clark drags that team to a championship.
You might be thinking, but he's a sports expert. Sure, in some areas, but when it comes to women's college basketball, Stephen A.'s track record is pretty shaky. Remember last year when he finally started talking about Caitlin Clark? It was like he was playing catch-up the entire time.
Caitlin Clark as a senior literally led the nation in assists, and she led the nation in scoring by a bunch. And Juju to break Caitlin Clark's record, like Juju was an out-and-out scorer, and for her to break Caitlin Clark's record, she needs to average 30 and make 2 of the next 3 championships.
It was during the championship game against LSU when Stephen A. finally acknowledged Caitlin Clark. By then, true fans had been praising her for months. Smith showed up to the party just as everyone else was leaving. And the real kicker: his comments on Juju Watkins don't just miss the mark. They're downright uninformed.
Even before she crosses half court. What's that, about 26 feet? When she's going to her left and in rhythm, she's